$931.4 million. That's how much the Federal Reserve will spend to print bills in 2023. But there's a problem with U.S. cash.
We haven't modernized or changed our currency. That's probably a mistake.
For example,
we should have dollar coins instead of paper notes.
Physical currency has changed around the world, but not in the U.S.
The Nordic countries, we see a move away from cash and to digital. India had a government-sponsored program to eliminate small denominations of cash.
The rest of the world has moved towards polymer notes, which are a form of plastic, last something like 4 times as long as the old paper notes.
Meanwhile, an increasing number of Americans are ditching cash for electronic payments. The Pew Research Center found 41% of Americans in 2022 didn't use cash in a given week. That number rose from 29% in 2018. Still, cash demand is growing, and experts say it's not going away.
There's actually more cash in circulation today than ever.
Cash production has been growing year by year by 0.5% to 2% for at least a decade.
U.S. government is very much engaged in electronic commerce, in addition to being the entity that prints cash.
In terms of electronic transactions, replacing cash, no. Cash always has an important and valuable spot.
So what's wrong with U.S. cash, and how can we fix it? The $1 bill was the most popular currency in the U.S. for years. But in 2017, for the first time in history, the $100 bill surpassed the one. And today, 18.5 billion $100 notes are in circulation. $1 bills are the second most circulated at 14.3 billion notes, and $2 bills are circulated the least at 1.5 billion.
The $100 comes from U.S. currency being a global currency. And a lot of those hundreds are outside the country, and they're being used for store of value.
Some speculate that the rise in $100 bills in circulation may also be to avoid taxes or for illegal activity, since cash can be traded anonymously.
I think the other argument is somebody involved in illegal activity will find a way to get around not having $100 bills.
Credit cards or electronic payments of any type, there's a way to track them.
But I do understand wanting to be fully anonymous as you go about your day, and cash does provide that.
They don't want their wife to know they spent $200 on a coin for collectors, for example.
And in the past, accessibility has determined what currency Americans choose.
The $2 bill has lost its place in everyday usage. It was left out of the vending machine market. Denominations like the $2 bill or the half-dollar coin, because there was no space made in the actual cash registers, they became less popular. In the 1960s, the half-dollar lost its place because it wasn't included in the use of parking meters.
The Federal Reserve has also ended production of currency before and tried to change different denominations.
America used to make things called half cents. The penny wasn't always the lowest denomination of coin.
Bills over $100 like the 500, 1,000, and 5,000 were discontinued in 1969 because they were rarely spent. And at that time, checks and credit card payments were on the rise.
In the late 1960s, the Bureau of Engraving and Printing called the Treasury, and the Treasury called the Federal Reserve, saying, if we're going to print these bills again, we have to make new plates. There was a debate going on at the highest levels. And they thought, nobody's going to use cash in 10 years.
And 6 in 10 Americans say convenience is key to spending. The U.S. Treasury oversees both the Bureau of Engraving and Printing, responsible for paper notes, and the U.S. Mint, where coins are made. The 2023 budget to produce paper bills is $931.4 million. About 28% of that goes to paper, ink, and labor, while 63% goes to manufacturing overhead, general support, research, and engraving. The Fed says U.S. bills are made to last, with a 25% linen, 75% cotton blend, and that it takes 4,000 double folds before a banknote will tear. But many countries have moved their lower currency denominations to coins to help with longevity.
A metal dollar will last about 30 years in circulation. How many of us have gone to a vending machine and tried to use a dollar bill and had to feed it in 5 or 6 times? You don't need to do that with a coin.
The rest of the world makes coins usually for $1 to $2. It's hard to find a paper note below $5 American in most developed countries.
Japan's 500 yen coin is equivalent to about 3.5 US dollars, and Australia and Europe use 1 and 2 coins in place of notes. But the US has tried switching to coins before.
In the 1920s, the Treasury reintroduced the $1 silver dollar and the $2 bill because it'll save money. $1 coins last a long time. $2 bills, you only have to print half as many as the ones. It didn't go over at all. Then they tried it in the 1960s under the Kennedy administration. People didn't want $1 coins and twos except to save as a souvenir. People have thought about reviving the 500 and cut the production by 5, save money. Nobody's gone for it.
The Fed also says transitioning to coins is inefficient and costly.
The argument for the $1 coin, it was cheaper over the long run. But over time, there were upgrades, various additives and varnishes. So now the $1 bill, I think, has a life close to 6 years.
And why has every other country done it? Why has Canada done it? Why has England done it? Why has all of Europe done it? Why has Japan done it?
Australia, the UK, and other countries have also moved from paper to polymer notes.
Since 1988, when Australia issued the first polymer notes, they've become very popular in the rest of the world.
For not going to polymer, a linen cotton note has a certain feel to it. Since this is a global currency, someone inside or outside of the US may not realize if this is a counterfeit or not.
Some experts claim that the Fed's choice to print paper notes is a waste of money, fueled by special interests.
Vendors hire lobbyists to make sure that the mint buys the same type of alloy for their coins, or in the case of paper, it's a major part of their production. If they lose that production, they lose jobs. As an organization, they lose power.
There are billions of dollars to be saved from going from paper dollar notes, which I might add are printed using toxic ink for anti-counterfeiting, so there's an environmental impact. Why is there a pushback in the United States to moving towards dollar coins? The Federal Reserve.
The world that we're in and the world that we're headed to, we're certainly not spending time thinking, are coins better? I just saw a statistic that said over 40% of people said they had not used cash at all in the past week. In fact, I couldn't tell you if I had any in my wallet right now.
Modernizing cash is not easy.
Banknotes are extremely complex instruments. And then there's buried deep inside the note various tags.
And innovation is changing the way we use cash.
Those technological advances are what's really going to influence people's lives for the better.
Making cash something that can carry value electronically, connecting notes to the blockchain.
Many businesses support electronic and cash options, plus innovative ways to bridge the gap.
If you still transact in cash, but you need to buy or want to buy something online, get a QR code. There's a variety of stores that will do this. Scan the QR code, pay in cash, and they release your merchandise.
Your electric bill comes, you can go to a Walgreens and pay that bill with cash.
And cash is cheaper. I got my haircut today, $22, but they had a 4% surcharge if I used a card.
There are a lot of people that use cash because they don't want to spend money they don't have.
New York City and Philadelphia are even requiring businesses to accept cash.
Legislation being passed that cash must be available and that you cannot have a purely cashless store.
However, with the exception of changes to state law, the Fed says businesses are free to determine what method of payment to accept.
To access digital mechanisms would need to be ubiquitous, either through a smartphone or through an internet connection. Not quite there yet.
Give the American people options. Cash, it's been around for a long time because it does its job really well.